Alright. What? Nothing. So my name is James, and this is Can You Hide from Big Data? A lot of people like to have the answers at the end. No, you can't really. There are some things that you can do, but you can never truly hide from it. It's always going to be there. They're always going to collect something, and no matter what you try to do, it's not going to get it all. With that being said, to give you a couple outlines of what we're going to talk about. I'm going to go over who's watching, what they're looking for, and some things that you can do about it. So a couple things about me. It's the first talk I've ever given. If you'd like to go on Sked and give me some feedback, that'd be really helpful. I work at the IT company here in Knoxville, and I'm an organizer for DC865 and a co-founder of TinSec. We've got a booth over at KEC, and we're running the CTF this year, so come check it out. And I'm not here to promote fear. The subject matter is dark. It seems like there's nothing that you can do about it, but I'm not here to promote FUD. That's just not how I roll. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not responsible for any nightmares you had tonight, and I don't own stock in Realms Wrap. So with all that being said, there are some things that I want to make sure you're aware. Companies are stealing your data. It's shocker that with the things that's been in the news, Facebook, Cambridge Analytica, this is your digital life. All of these things have been in the news for a while, and they've really been dominating the security cycles. But I've got some good news. We're not going to talk about any of this. And what we are going to talk about is targeted marketing. Marketing in itself can be discriminatory, but targeted marketing goes a little deeper. This is actually a screenshot of Facebook's ads, and you can go in and granularly specify what you want to look for. And some of the things that an article published by ProPublica found is that they were making discriminatory ads in the housing market. They could look for rich white people, and that was wrong. And it's still going on. And it's not just a Facebook issue. It's an issue with advertising in general. Because if you put these tools in the hands of people who are not trained to use them ethically, they're going to use them for whatever justifies their means, not what benefits the community. So let's go into the first subject, is who's watching me. Like Bat Dad, he's my favorite. And you'd be surprised, it's these guys. Has anyone ever seen this before? You've seen it? You get the penguin. I don't know if I'm going to make it. You ready? Nope. So going over all of these would be pretty impossible. Instead, we're going to cherry pick some from this just to fit what I'm going after. So some of the companies that are following everything that you do, one of them is called Add This. It's been around for a long time. You may have seen the symbol before. I haven't seen it on too many web pages here recently, but it's been around. The premise was pretty simple. If you find an article or if you find a video that you like, you can share it with your friends. What that does is builds a profile of your personality, and they can then sell that data. And then you have Mote. Mote is an ad analytics tool that you can upload your marketing videos to, your commercials, and you can track how they are perceived by the public. You can track how they do. And there's another tool called Maximizer that works similarly. There's enough difference in the two of them that they are different niche companies. This one, instead of looking at an overall, it's looking at the specific advertisement itself. Where are they zeroing in on it? Specifically, where in the ad campaign are they even looking with their eyes? And why are they looking there? Another one you may come across is BlueKai. BlueKai deals in cookies. And if you ever want to see something really creepy, you go to bluekai.com/register. It will pull all the cookies from BlueKai that are saved on your browser, and it'll tell you what BlueKai thinks about you. What it thinks that you are, your interests, things like that. Sometimes they're frighteningly close. And then we have Costwise. Costwise is one of these really creepy companies where you just imagine Dr. Evil is running it. And they're talking about their billions of dollars. So Costwise works by mapping multiple devices to a single individual. What that'll do is, if you search for something on one device, it'll then display ads for that product on another device. People are always talking about, oh, your cell phone's listening to you, and Facebook tracks everything that you say and gives you advertisements for it. No, that's been disproven several times. But these companies know which devices you have. So if you search for something over here, and then you get ads for it over there, it's like magic, but no. And this is actually from an interview that was given from Costwise. It says, Costwise collects billions of non-personally identifiable data points like location data, domains browsed, apps used, age, gender, Wi-Fi hotspots, shared ISPs, and many others. How many of those seem non-identifiable to you? Not many. I know a lot of them look pretty identifiable. And then you also have data logics. Data logics, anybody here have a membership loyalty card, like to a grocery store? Yeah? I can get you. There we go. So data logics specifies, they really focus in on these membership loyalty groups. They do a lot of other things, but something that they do really well is with grocery chains, knowing what you buy and what price point you'll buy it at. So this is actually something that they focus in on. They know 99% of all new car sales. They have grocery chains, and they know all of your transactions in that grocery chain. And something that's really creepy is with data logics, they have 110 million US households data. Any guesses as to how many households are in the US? No? According to the census, it's 117 million. So they're only off by 7 million households. That's pretty terrifying. So what do all these have in common besides being really creepy? They're all owned by Oracle. Yeah, and Oracle owns a lot of other companies. So here's a list of all the companies they own. I don't know if you can catch all that. Any speed readers? Yeah, there's a few. But one that you won't find on that list is a frequent acquisition, DNS. And what's really creepy about all of this is once Oracle purchases a company, they all go into the same Oracle data privacy policy. Oracle will share information with other Oracle companies. It's right there in their privacy policy. Anything that they gain from one of their corporations, they'll then transfer that information to another corporation that they can then sell. So what are they after? They're after pretty much everything. They want your home address, they want your preferences, they want to know demographics about you, they want to know your age, your sex, your race. They want to know anything and everything that they can get and then turn around and sell about you. And once they have all of this data, what do they do with it? They put it all into something called Oracle Graph ID. And these slides aren't something that I created. This came out of Oracle presentations, marketing presentations for people that they are trying to sell this data to, other companies. They'll get information about you, and they'll link it all together into a single ID so that they know that you, who own this device, and maybe this device, oh yeah, and your work device, all live here at this location, and these are your propensities. This is a price point that you're willing to pay for something. And that is discrimination. They know so much about you that they can do price hikes if they wanted to. Oracle themselves don't do this, but they provide the information to the companies that could possibly do it. So who's watching? I'm pretty sure it's, yeah. So let me introduce you to a tool called Lightbeam. It's another tool that's been around for a while. Anybody here know Lightbeam? Anyone ever used it? Get a penguin? If I can get you? Close. So Lightbeam is a Firefox plugin, and the way it works is it will search your browser for any cookies that were left behind from a website that you visited. Cookies are indicated by triangles, and websites are indicated by circles. And the connection shows which website did which cookie. And as you can see here, DC865 is alone in a vast sea of darkness. We don't care. But someone who does care, CNET, they love them some cookies. 73 cookies for one visit. So how does this work? You go to a website like CNET, and then if CNET has BlueKai, they'll enlist the help of Martha Stewart. They'll create a cookie for you, and then this cookie will have a unique ID. And any website that also has BlueKai enabled will track you. So if you leave one website, it'll track you to the next website. And it'll see what you click on, what your likes and dislikes are, and it'll follow you around on the web. So what does that look like in Lightbeam? So this is Lifehacker, Gizmodo, and CNET. And it's just a big spider web of cookies. As you can see, they're not all of them linked together, but most of them do. They're all communicating with each other. And each of these cookies represent a different company of that huge billboard that I just showed you. So this is just these three websites. What does this look like whenever you're just browsing normal day-to-day? It's a lot. It's a lot of cookies. And it's not really something that people think about. When you think about people tracking you, you think about social media. Social media really doesn't use cookies for the most part. But static web pages or web pages where they try to sell you something, they use cookies really heavily. Something that really caught my attention is that DP in the center, that's Denver Post. They have more cookies than CNET, and that's saying something. So that's all how they track you with cookies and how they track you on different devices, but they also do something else. It's not just the websites you know, is it? As Leo Getz says, they get you with the cell phones. It's not quite what they said, but it's pretty close. So I'm going to play a couple of videos for you, and this next one's from a company called Factual, and this is their own commercial.
Factual's observation graph technology is a revolutionary way of understanding the real-world behavior of mobile users. With products powered by Observation Graph, you can deliver intelligent mobile experiences. Observation Graph is built on Factual's proprietary Global Places data, which includes over 90 million local businesses and points of interest in 50 countries and is integrated into leading applications such as Apple Maps, Facebook Places, and Microsoft Bing. Observation Graph also uses demographic data, event data, and other geographic data to fully understand the physical world. All of this data, combined with signals from mobile devices, enables Factual to catalog real-world user behavior. Each day, Observation Graph generates billions of discrete observations globally. Observation Graph powers products that enable advertisers to create highly accurate mobile audiences by describing specific real-world behaviors. Retailers to get incredible insights on their customers. And mobile developers to use real-world circumstance to prompt mobile users with a relevant action. Observation Graph, an unprecedented understanding of real-world user behavior.
Anybody think that was creepy? Yeah. Yeah, not just because they didn't all have arms. Yeah.
They're called voice.
They're called what?
The voice. The voice.
The voice. Yeah. It's all to lull you into a sense of security when they hold all the keys. So, who uses this? Why is it on my phone, and what can I do to get rid of it? It's not actually an app that's on your phone. Instead, companies who use it, like these guys, why does Capital One need to know where you're at and what you're doing? That seems really creepy to me. Insurance. I mean, Uber, meh, but some of these others doesn't really make any sense. And there's more of them that all use Factual. Factual doesn't install on your phone. Factual doesn't get data from your service provider because that would be illegal. Instead, what they do is they sell these companies their API. And whenever they build in their applications, they call these APIs, and if you give them permission on your mobile device to track the things that they want to track, then they'll send it back to Factual, who can then give the information back to them. So Factual is not the only company, and that's not the only way. I was introduced to a new term that I had never heard before. It was called MLA, is Mobile Location Analytics. MLA is really creepy. It doesn't use GPS at all, and it doesn't need your permission. It doesn't need any apps on your phone. Instead, MLA, through these companies, and I'm going to pick on Euclid in particular, just because they have the most material, and I was lazy. What they'll do is they will reach out and they'll find your MAC address on your wireless device or your Bluetooth, and they'll track that MAC address. Once you've hit a retail store that has Euclid, it'll log that, and it'll keep the information. It'll then propagate it to the other locations that use their service. They can track what your shopping habits are. They can track inside the store how long you stay at a particular place. And they do some pretty other shady stuff. I've got 2 videos that are shorter than Factual, so watch this and we'll talk about it afterwards. Just pay attention to the key phrases that they use.
Local stores are at the heart of every community. Think of the coffee shop where everybody knows your name, or even the stores where you buy your favorite shirts. Without them, life just wouldn't be the same. These days, physical retail faces stiff competition. Online stores are using the power of data to make shopping more convenient than ever. That's where Euclid comes in. We use today's digital technology to help local stores better serve their customers, just like online stores do. Here's how it works. Smartphones are designed to look for nearby Wi-Fi networks. As they do this, they send out bits of non-personal data. Euclid combines this data to map out a store's overall shopping patterns. Stores can then use these anonymous insights to improve the shopping experience and get a competitive edge. Euclid only uses anonymous aggregated information. We never know your identity or collect any personal information. Think of a crowd of shoppers like an ocean of water. Euclid doesn't focus on individual drops. We focus on the major currents in order to determine the best ways for shoppers and retailers to connect. Customer privacy is key to our business. That's why Euclid only uses anonymous aggregated information. We built Euclid with 100% customer privacy at its core. And that's how we'll build it going forward. To learn more, visit euclidanalytics.com/privacy.
And I would recommend going there. So, did anyone catch a theme? Anonymous? Anonymous? Oh, I hit him and he wasn't paying attention. It's the first time I actually got to where I was throwing. So everything's anonymous. They take privacy very seriously. Whenever you hear a data breach on media, what's the first thing that they say? We take privacy very seriously. They haven't even made a breach yet. Anyway, this next one will show you exactly what they collect. And you tell me if it's anonymous, or what they do with it.
With Euclid, you can collect unique first-party data on shopper behavior through your existing store Wi-Fi and leverage it within your CRM or DMP to activate those high-intent profiles across all your marketing and advertising platforms. Euclid allows you to expand your known customer base with in-store acquisition, create more relevant marketing with behavioral targeting, and measure the store's influence on the buying journey across channels.
So they don't collect anything identifiable, but what do they do with the information that they collect? Anyone? Do what? Well, they don't have the email. They don't collect the email, but how did they get it? They get it from the stores. They get it from that CRM. That CRM that has all that information about you. Oracle Respondents. It's an Oracle product, so they have all the Oracle information in there. With that device identification, they can pull up Costwise, find your device, link it to your Oracle ID graph. And then they have everything that they have about you at their disposal. So yeah, they may not collect anything personally identifiable, if you don't consider your MAC address personally identifiable. Some people may not, if you change it frequently. Speaking of, Apple iOS 8, whenever you're searching for Wi-Fi, it will periodically change the MAC address of your device, virtually, until it connects. If it actually connects to something, it'll go right into its actual MAC address. And that doesn't change. It's something that I really wish Android would do. So the information that they gather, because they still gather information about you, isn't linked back to that Oracle database, and it's only about 5 to 10 minutes worth of data, and then it starts all over again. So it's not as bad, but it's still creepy. Once Oracle has that information, how do they distribute it out? How do they get it? So with the Oracle Data Cloud, we've got all of these different vendors that volunteer information. We've got MasterCard, we've got Experian, TransUnion. You notice that Equifax isn't up there. I don't think anyone actually pays for that information anymore. Is that right? So they've got Axiom, which is actually a competitor. And if you go to Axiom's website and you try to pull up information about yourself, like you can do with BlueKai, they're like, yeah, we'll give you all the information we have about you, but you have to send us a $5 check. It can't be a money order. It can't be a cashier's check. It has to be a personal check. That's shady. That's real shady. So some of the other things that they do is they gather and synchronize data from LinkedIn. So they have everything that you do for your job. Twitter, and they even steal your grandma's data. So, I'm sure a few of you have AOL emails. You shouldn't, but you do. So, what do you do once you have all of this information? Because you're really creeped out now, and you're not sleeping, pacing. No, you don't. Crazy Russians. Kind of jealous. The first thing you do is don't volunteer your information. And it sounds pretty easy, but we do it all the time. We really do. Especially with the data logics programs, the membership loyalty cards. So volunteer can be your mobile apps. You'll have all of those mobile apps that have different APIs in it to gather all of your information, like your geo location. Those permissions can be set in the phone itself. So if you must have the device, you must have the app on the device, you can at least go in and make it less harmful. Social media, quizzes, and posts. You don't need to answer 50 questions to find out what Harvard's house you're in. If you do, you're probably Hufflepuff. So, the membership loyalty programs is a big one. You're getting a few cents off of your pack of tuna or whatever, but they're getting so much more, so much more. And it's the fitness trackers too, like this. This is nothing but a bracelet right now because I lost my charger 2 days ago and I can't find it. But if it were working, it could be tracking me. If it's not tracking me, then Euclid could track it because it has a Bluetooth device on it. And it's constantly looking for something to pair with. So another thing that I found out, just reading some material, don't be afraid to lie or say no. Michael, let's see. There was an article that I had read where someone, to put himself in the right mindset, if he were to go to a restaurant and they ask him what to put his order under, like say if you went to Taco Bell, they say, what name do you want to put it under? Don't tell them your name. And it's not information that they actually use, but it puts you in that mindset. So try this out just as an experiment. It's more difficult than you might think. Go into Taco Bell or wherever, place your order, and if they ask you what your name is, tell them it's Bob or Frank or Sarah. That'll get some eyebrows raised if you're a guy, but yeah. It's harder than you think. And what that prepares you for is when you go into places like Yankee Candle or PetSmart, where they actually use the information that you give them. So if they ask what your email address is or your telephone number, just say no, or give them a fake one. I mean, there are a couple of applications out there that can give you fake information, like pseudo. Another one is opting out. So all of these different websites here are different ways to opt out. And the way that most of these work are by cooking your browser, again with the cookies. And if something happens to that opt-out cookie, you're being tracked again and you don't even know it. So opt-out may not be the best option, and it's also an honor-based system. So you say, don't track me, and they say, okay, sure, send us that personal check. So if you do want to go the opt-out route, or if you want to go over any of the tools that I'm about to mention, I did create a website on our DCA65 page called Privacy. And you can find it on the main page up under resources. And it will have all the tools I'm about to talk about and a bunch of different opt-out links. But a couple of the things that I want to go over, the EFF has something called Panopticlick. Has anyone ever heard of Panopticlick? You? Nice. Getting better. So Panopticlick, the way it works is you click on the button and it'll tell you how vulnerable your browser is. It'll tell you if you have do not track enabled, it'll tell you if they can fingerprint your browser. It's a really useful tool and it makes you really paranoid, like a lot of the other things I'm about to go over. One of the absolute hand-down best tools that you can use is Pothole. Anyone use Pothole? Yeah. Yes. So Pothole is an absolute godsend. You don't actually have to use it on Raspberry Pi hardware, but it's cheap and why not? So Pothole, if you install it, it'll create DNS sinkholes. And they can't track you if they don't even know that you exist because you never actually went to their website. You never really got cookied. You may have that information on your browser, but it can't reach out. Because with Pothole, you can download lists from GitHub that block all of these advertisers. And then you can also get lists that block all the coin miners so that your browser isn't eating up CPU cycles because you're visiting a web page. It is a really useful tool, and I can't recommend it enough, even if, yeah, I really can't. So that tool that we used earlier, Lightning, this is CNET before Pothole, and this is CNET after Pothole. I could go back and add these websites, but I mean, Jesus, that is a major reduction. You went from 73 to 8. Something else that you can do is if you're using a Pothole at home, you can use something like the Streisand effect and create different types of VPN connections because maybe the Wi-Fi connection that you're at blocks typical VPN connections. Streisand effect will open up multiple ports in different ways, and you can configure it however you like. And then you could connect your mobile device if you wanted to burn a weekend, you know. But if you don't have time for that, ain't nobody got time for that. I recommend Nord. Nord is great. They're not the fastest, they're not the cheapest, but they do have really good privacy policies in place. EFF also has Privacy Badger for your browser. So if you use Pothole at home, you can then also use Privacy Badger on your browser, so if you're not on a VPN connection, and it'll clean up those little extra bits. If you really want to start getting into the tinfoil hat areas, you can use Tor for everything. Or you can use disposable VMs like Cubes or Tails. You can even get so deep that you actually go in and dox yourself. Michael Basile was one of the people that I was thinking about earlier and just blanked on. Michael Basile has a book called How to Hide, or Hiding from the Internet, and it's really, really awesome. There's things that he talks about, like you can purchase homes through shell corporations so that that information is not publicly available, and you can just really, really get hermit crab on this thing. It really comes down to what you're willing to live with. When you have all that information out there, it's up to you to decide what you want to hide and what you're willing to let loose, like the Fitbit. If you don't care that Strava is leaking your information, whatever. But at least you know. And most people don't. So does anybody have any questions? Besides, can I have a ping one? Yeah.
So, I know from experience with things like ad block or ad block plus, a lot of websites are now getting to the point where they'll detect that you're blocking their ads, they'll use to notification. experienced that as well with Privacy Badger or Pothole?
So the question is, do you get any reduction or blocking of websites if you're using these tools? And Privacy Badger, you may, because it works on the browser. But with Pothole, I don't believe so. It's not so much that it's blocking it, it's just, it says, where is this website? I don't know, I can't find it. Because it literally can't find it. You're using it as a DNS server, and it just doesn't have that entry. So I really don't think that it will do the same thing. But if you have a lot of entries on there, you may see a slight lag in load time, but it's nothing compared to going to CNET without it. So I have noticed that.
Is Pothole actually just finding out the DNS, or is it returning like an X domain?
That I don't know. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
So have you encountered any security products that aren't, like years ago there was something called Ghostery that tried to do things, but it turned out to actually spying on
It was.
And then like if you block origin versus Privacy Badger, things like that, you know, temporary stuff that maybe you shouldn't be having our relatives use or ourselves use?
I would stick with EFF. If you like another product, have at it. But you mentioned Ghostery, and Ghostery was owned by an ad company at one point. So yeah, they were blocking competitors, and they were selling that information. It was appreciated. But they have since been purchased again, I believe, by a German company. And as I understand, they're not doing that anymore, as I understand. But
same question, browsers like Opera got purchased by the Chinese company, so
yeah.
are there wrong? Have you encountered any novel filtering in a similar way?
So when it comes to your browser itself, you can go in and make sure that any CAs that you're kind of worried about from China, cut those out, and then you can use other layered securities on top of that, like the Pothole. But I don't know of anything specifically from the browser to them. I can make it that way. Yeah, I'll make it that way in 20 minutes. Yeah. Anything else? Zach?
Hey James, I do have another resource that's available to everyone. It involves in like adversaries that go well beyond like trackers or marketing companies, but basically there is the EFF's surveillance self-defense guide, which can be found at ssd.eff.org.
We can put that on the website.
Can you repeat that, please?
He's our EFF guy.
Can you repeat that for the stream? Repeat what the gentleman said.
So Zach said that he has an additional EFF resource that he would like to put on the website. That's perfectly fine. I mean, if anybody has any suggestions, this is how you can reach me. I'd be more than glad to look it over, add it to the website. I want to make sure that these resources are available to other people.
So when we go to dc866.org/privacy, how many cookies do you guys feed?
None. Yeah, if you, that light beam tool at the beginning of the presentation, we don't have any cookies. And it's not even like a WordPress site, it's just static HTML5 with PHP. So it is as stripped down as it could possibly be.
I got 5%, so we need to.
Yeah.
We do. We'll do that too.
So DC865, to answer your question, is a local DEF CON group. It's Knoxville's DEF CON group. They have them all over major cities. And we meet once a month. We go over presentations, we have CTFs, we do projects, and we work with other security groups in the community. We actually have a 10-sec Slack page. So if you go to DC865 and you go down to the bottom in the media, we have a Slack page. That Slack isn't just DC865. It's actually 10-sec. And that's, East Tennessee has a bunch of different security communities, and instead of each of us having a Slack, it's all in one. And then we can have separate channels underneath that, and it just makes communication so much easier. We're trying to work as a team instead of competing with each other, and I think that's the goal. No problem.
So these are great tools and strategies for moving forward. Do you have any insight on how this is growing?
the internet of what we've already kind of released?
Scrubbing data is a completely different talk. I wish that I were versed enough to answer your question, but really, this previous Michael Basile, I can't recommend enough. He's the man. There are other resources out there, but definitely check him out. Ma'am?
Yeah, I'm looking right now. There's a service that the CISO of the ACLU turned out.
I'm sorry, speak up. I can't.
There is a service as far as deleting content that already exists out there.
Really?
I'm trying to find the name, but I'll tweet about it. It's apparently good.
Okay, so there is a website she's saying that can scrub the data for you. She'll give me that information. We can check it out. I'll definitely put it on the page. Anything else, guys? Looks like we got some time.
You got any favorite MAC address changers or tools that you use personally?
I don't.
Can you repeat the question, please?
He wants to know if there are any MAC address changers that I have, and I don't have any of those. And whenever it comes to the MLA devices, the best case that you could do is turn off your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth when you're on the house. That'll get it, because without those enabled, they can't get the MAC address. It's just impossible. Zach?
I know on Linux you can't alter your MAC address simply by using system tools. The only problem that is there is a bit of a learning curve when doing it.
So hiding your MAC address within Linux tools, that's great, and I'm sure there are a lot of solutions out there for it, but I doubt many people are running around with Linux. There are other tools that you could use, I'm sure. I'm just not aware of them. Yes?
What are your thoughts on incognito mode for browsing?
Incognito. So incognito mode doesn't necessarily prevent people from tracking you. It just prevents your browser from storing that information. So whether you're worried about people tracking you inside your network or whether you're worried about other companies tracking what you've browsed, it'll still happen. They'll still cookie it, but as soon as you close that session, it's gone. So it won't track you outside of that. So Tor and the CIA rumor. I'm sure the government has many fingers and many pies, but I'm really not sure. You would have to ask him. I heard that that's not the case, and the FBI did a raid on a bunch of stuff, but that was a vulnerability inside the Firefox that was bundled in. Yeah. They do. Yeah, the FBI does run some exit notes, but I'm sure that it's a drop in the bucket as to how many are out there. And really, that's just one part of it. So. Yeah. Anything else, guys? No? I got one ping, one left. Give me a good question.
What differences are you seeing now that Europe is cracking down much more on how personal information is being used?
So the GDPR, to answer your question, how will that change things? I don't think the GDPR will necessarily change how you're being tracked. GDPR, if I'm correct, is just your right to be forgotten. So you would still need to reach out to those companies and have that information scrubbed. If that answers your question. All right, guys. If that's it, we've still got CTF running over at KEC. Come on out. You don't need the VM for most of the flags, some of the flags. There are 5 flags that you don't even need a VM for. And last time I checked, there was only 1 flag that had even been captured. And there are 15. We've got some hacker boxes to give away and a BSides glass for anybody who wins.